Welcome to the Cedar Valley Podcast. Consider this your inside look at what makes our region special. We talk about everyday life here in the Cedar Valley, the voices speaking up for progress, the ideas shaping our future, and the partners investing in our success. We believe community is built one conversation at a time, and we've saved you a seat at the table. Today, we have Melissa Reade here on the Cedar Valley Podcast. Welcome, Melissa. We're so glad to have you.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Well, to kick us off, I want you to tell me just a little bit about yourself and your role at Cedar Valley.
So I have been the executive director with Cedar Valley for 14 years since the very beginning. I have a family here in the Cedar Valley. We have 4 kids, and we are busy doing all the things. So just living the Cedar Valley life.
Awesome. So for those that might not be aware of what Cedar Valley is, can you tell me a little bit more about the organization, who you serve?
Cedar Valley is a nonprofit that has been around for 14 years, really focused on leadership development. We always say we're changing lives through leadership. That's our mission. We serve 2 different populations. The first is in our schools, K-12, where we have leadership development through Leader and Me, and we're currently serving 31 schools in 11 districts in our greater Cedar Valley region, so that's very exciting. The other part of what we do, which is probably the lesser known part that we're really trying to expand on, is leadership development for organizations, especially small to mid-level businesses and nonprofits. We just know the importance of leadership development and its power and retention of employees here in the Cedar Valley, and so that's really our mission. We always say from the classroom to the boardroom, it's all about leadership.
I think that's great. And speaking specifically to the student population, oftentimes there are events in the community that will pull in students that have participated in Cedar Valley through their schools. And it is always so fascinating to me to see just the level of professionalism and the leadership that they're demonstrating at such an early age. So kudos to you and your team and to the educators that participate in that, because it really is making a difference.
It really is, and that just happened to me. I was at an event that was not a Cedar Valley event, and there was a kiddo there who shook my hand, and I said, "Oh my gosh, are you in a Leader in Me school?" And she said, "Well, yes, I am. I'm at Orchard Hill Elementary." And I'm like, I can tell.
Love that.
Like, yes, it was so fun.
That's got to make you feel
It
good,
is.
right?
It's, so validating.
It's working. It's working. So, Melissa, tell me a little bit more about the programs that your coaches with Cedar Valley are putting on within the community.
So on the education side, in our K-12 buildings, we're really focused on Leader and Me, which is all about creating leadership cultures in our school that allow students the opportunity to really find their voice and develop as leaders. And so we have a distinct focus on leadership, culture, and academics in our schools. And so everything we do is all about leadership and how do we infuse leadership. On the business side of things, we have 3 different types of leadership programming. The first are leadership accelerators, and those are just one-day standalone leadership workshops with dedicated content that is super relevant and timely. The second thing that we focus on is Elevate Leadership Academy, and that was actually born out of our partnership with Grow Cedar Valley and CVLI. And when it was originally incepted, it was really kind of a CVLI 2.0, and thinking about now how do we take that group of leaders to the next level and really develop their leadership program. So it's modeled very similarly to CVLI in that it's an 8-month cohort, and it is a deep, deep, deep dive into leading yourself and leading others. And so what I think is super unique about it is that there definitely are the tactical, strategic things that you do as a leader that are being developed, but it really is a lot around kind of the emotional intelligence side and the human side of leadership that we spend a good deal of our time on. So we also work with businesses one-on-one and create custom solutions with leadership content that their company or organization is looking for.
So you spend a lot of time on leadership. Tell me, why does it matter? Why is that so important?
Yeah. You know, one of the things we always say for our little people when we're thinking about the K-12 students is, why do we wait until adulthood to figure out how to be effective? Like, there's so many things that our kids are learning right now that I did not learn, and I certainly did not learn the easy way when I got to adulthood. And so it's a really proactive approach when we're thinking about that. And it's teaching them how to lead themselves first and foremost with the skills, the attitudes, the aptitudes that they need to be effective, so that they can then lead other people in whatever way, you know, their voice comes out and shines. But then I think, you know, I know that you've all been doing a lot of work with the population study and that there's a flow of people out of the Cedar Valley. And one of the things that we think about a lot from a retention standpoint and that we know is really important is being in a culture of development, meaning that you're a part of an organization that values development and will invest in you. And so we feel like we can be part of the solution to that and challenge that our businesses are faced with. And so that's, I think, why it matters. It matters at the individual level and it matters at the organizational and community level for leadership to be invested in.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. I think my personal philosophy has always been that when you invest in your people, you are setting them up to serve your organization better, serve your clients better. For me, it's a win-win.
Yeah.
When we invest in our people, whether they stay with our organization, which obviously is the hope, or they go on to another, I think we're doing a service to that person by making sure that we're setting them up for success in the world. So
Yes.
I think that's really cool. So Cedar Valley has been around for 14 years, almost 15 years. And Cedar Valley and Cedar Valley have an interesting relationship. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I would love to. So back in the day, I think it was about 2010, Tom Petaluna was the board chair of Cedar Valley, and Bob Justice was working here, and Carrie Dara, and they came across this program, Leader in Me, and they decided that, you know what, we need to have this in the Cedar Valley. And they really had a vision to bring this to life in our schools, but they knew that we would need organizational structure to do so. And so Cedar Valley really incepted Leader Valley from the very beginning and helped establish a 501c3 separate of Cedar Valley, and really partnered and incubated Leader Valley until about 2 years ago. And that was the plan all along, that when Leader Valley was up and running and ready to fly, you know, Leader Valley would fly. But it's because of the partnership with Cedar Valley that we were able to grow like we did and as a nonprofit and have the supports that we had so that we had the wings to fly.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It's pretty amazing.
It's cool. I love that. And I think kudos to my predecessors and those that were a part of that process, you included, that, you know, really were thoughtful about the integration of this program. And it's so cool to see where it's come today. So
it is. Yeah. And they had such a vision, and they can still continue.
Absolutely.
Your board still has a vision, and our board has a vision. And I just think we all want something great for our community. And this was one unique way to differentiate ourselves in the Cedar Valley.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you work with a lot of leaders. What makes somebody a great leader, Melissa?
That's such a good question, and it's a loaded question. When I was working on my doctorate in leadership, for one of our final essays, they were like, tell us about great leaders, and what do great leaders do? Well, and they had us studying, well, if you do these 3 things, and if you follow these 4 principles, and if you do these 7 habits, and it was kind of a paint by numbers approach to leadership, and it became so overwhelming. So when I was doing that final reflection, I just kind of pushed back on it and said, it's not any of those things. I think that leadership is unique, and I don't think that my leadership style can be your leadership style. And so I was thinking about what are the hallmarks of a great leader apart from all those to-dos, and are kind of the things that are internal to you, and not so much what you do, but so just leading with integrity, for example, and just doing what you say you're going to do, being honest, caring about people, humility, knowing that you don't have all the answers, that you're better together, having a loving edge, meaning that it's not just about the work, but it's about the people, and caring about them deeply, personally and professionally, and wanting something greater for them, being servant-minded, and knowing that you're working with and through people for the benefit of other people. And then I think about just being able and open to learning, growing, risk-taking, failing, and modeling that. Those are the things that I think of as great leaders. I think the things that you do as a leader can be learned, but some of this other stuff is internal to who you are and your character. And that, to me, is what makes up a great leader. What do you think?
Oh,
I would love to know.
No, I absolutely agree. And I think being willing and able to admit when you don't do things right or you've made a mistake is so important, because I think we build up in our minds that, you know, leaders are people that get it right all the time, which makes it really intimidating for other people who don't see themselves that way. And I think, you know, to be realistic about the fact that we're all growing and we don't get it right all the time is so important. But integrity, absolutely. Doing what you say you're going to do, absolutely. I think you nailed it. Totally agree with everything you said.
One of the things I think about, and we talk about this a lot with our Leader in Me work, is that leadership is a choice, not a position. And, I think in our society, we're so focused on title, rank, authority,
Yes.
power, affluence, C-suite, like all of those things that really that's not what makes you a leader, because you can have all of that positionally and people still not follow you. And so I just think it's really getting at the heart of being a good person for other people.
Yes, to have a heart for others first.
Yeah.
That absolutely matters.
Yeah.
No, that's a great perspective. So not all leaders are the same, and you work with a lot of different people. So how do you help people identify what their specific leadership style is, or how do you help them grow as leaders?
Yeah. Well, I think it requires a lot of self-awareness and
Sure.
reflection, first and foremost. One, helping them identify when do they feel most authentic as a leader. So authenticity, meaning you know who you are, you know when you feel your best, you know what you're best at, and living that out. So I think that was the first thing that came to mind. The second thing was leadership beliefs, and really getting clear on what is most important to me as a leader and aligning my words and actions to that. And then the third thing was just about commitments. And so thinking about what are the priority actions I'm going to take every day, like I'm going to do consistently to show that these are my beliefs, that I'm living my authentic leadership self, and what are the standards I'm going to hold myself to. And so I think if people can just spend time thinking about those three things, authenticity, beliefs, and commitments, they can start to identify what their leadership style is that will be true to them.
I think that's
What
great.
do you think?
Melissa, I think the acknowledgement of kind of the internal stuff and what the external outcome is great advice. I think, yeah, I really like that.
Yeah, thanks.
So I have had the chance to work with your incredible team. Tell me about the amazing team that you get to work with every day.
Yeah, so we are a small but mighty team. And, for the first 6 years of Leader Valley, it was just me. And then we have slowly added over the years. And so right now we have 2 Leader in Me coaches, Shantavia Parker and Beauty Fitz, and they're out changing the world in our schools, and that's pretty exciting. And then we've got our operations team behind the scenes who are making everything happen. You just don't realize how much goes into it. So we've got Kristen Kimball and Maddie Montross, and we are, just one day at a time, working hard as a team to move all of our leadership initiatives forward.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And can speak from experience. We had Shantavia come and do some leadership training for us last year, and it was impactful and incredible. So, whether you are a student or you are a professional in the workplace, I think there's absolutely something to be learned from your coaches. They do a fantastic job.
Thank you. Yeah, we always say she's the sparkle on our team.
She definitely
for sure.
is.
Yeah.
So I understand that your role has shifted a little bit this year. Can you tell me what that looks like for you and your organization?
Yeah. So as I mentioned earlier, I've been with the organization from the very beginning, and I had a really unusual executive director role, I would say, in that I was definitely more programmatic and very not so much traditional executive director when you think nonprofit. And so our organization has grown enough and the demand for our work has grown enough that we're just at a tipping point, and I needed to probably focus just a little bit more. And so instead of having a full coaching load of schools, I will focus more on our organizational leadership programming and our organization. And just thinking about what does Leader Valley 2.0 look like? We're coming up on our 15-year anniversary, and we need me to be a little bit more focused. And I'm super thankful. I went to the board with that probably 6 months ago, and they were super supportive. And so here we go. And literally June 1 is kind of the start of the transition. So this is fresh. Yeah, I'm still trying to figure it out. Yeah.
I'm sure it is nice, though, to be able to think about the organization, not what's in the organization,
Yes.
right? To be able to kind of create that vision for
Yeah.
what comes next with Leader Valley. So
Yeah, I'm super excited to have the time to critically think and plan, just being more strategic. I just think it's going to pay dividends for the organization.
yeah, I believe that, and I'm excited to see what comes next. So I want to ask you, as a leader to leader, what is the best leadership advice that you have ever received?
You have to lead yourself first before you can lead others. So meaning you have to take care of yourself, you have to manage yourself, you have to manage your emotions, you have to invest in yourself. You really have to show up as the best version of yourself before you can lead other people. And so I think that that's probably the most profound thing that I have been advised.
Yeah, great advice. I wish I could say I follow it all the time.
Oh, it's so hard to follow.
It's so hard
it's
to
the best
follow.
advice. You didn't say, like, what's the advice that you don't follow?
Yeah. No, that is good advice because we can't lead well when we're not at our best self.
Yeah.
Certainly true. This is maybe more general advice than leadership advice, but I do encourage a lot of people that I talk to be intentional about getting uncomfortable. I think the only way that we really grow in life is when we do things that get us outside of our comfort zone. And as leaders, whether, by title or just, in the way that we live our lives, I really believe that the only way we move forward is when we do things that we're uncertain about and we potentially fail or we miss or we don't do it exactly the way we want it to. But I think it's there that we find strength and courage and really the drive to go out and do the next thing that moves us forward.
Yeah.
So get uncomfortable.
Yeah. So how do you know when something is worth getting uncomfortable for? What's the threshold for your decision making?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. For me, I am very much a gut person. I really depend on my feelings when I'm making decisions. And so for me, I've really got to kind of weigh it against how I'm feeling internally about something, what the potential outcome is if I do the uncomfortable thing, and is it worth it? And ultimately, what will the impact be, not only to myself, but to the people around me? So it's not just a personal decision, but one that reflects, those that I'm fortunate to work and serve with every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just takes so much discernment.
So much discernment. It does. It does. That's a lot of it for sure. Okay, so we're going to move away from leadership entirely. Well, maybe your response will have to be with leadership. But we ask this of everybody that's on the podcast because we are the Cedar Valley Podcast. We're people that love this community. So if you could pick one thing about the Cedar Valley that you love most, what would it be?
Yeah. So this is not the answer I thought I was going to give. I thought I was going to give the answer of, there's just so much to do. We have so many amazing opportunities here.
Yeah.
But what actually I love the most, and I think I only know this because of the work that we do and the work that you do, is the idea of a one Cedar Valley, something greater than any one community or any one neighborhood or any one school. And I don't think we're there yet, but I think we're working hard to really create that one big greater Cedar Valley that is a regional powerhouse. And I think why that's so important to me is because in our work with our schools, we're serving, 11 districts in our Cedar Valley region. And one of the things I love most is that they come together and that they are so abundant. Our educators are so abundant with each other because they know that every student is our student. Doesn't matter what district, what city, what school. And I think that's the same for the Cedar Valley, just our population in general. So I think that's the thing that I really love the most is the effort to create this one big fabulous region.
Yeah. No, I love that. And I specifically love what you said about abundance. There is enough for all of us.
Yes.
And if we work together and we support all of the great work that's happening here, the outcome will be really special. Melissa, thank you for being here on the podcast today. Thank you to you and your entire team for the work you do with Cedar Valley, for investing in our young people and our working population here in the Cedar Valley to develop them. We truly believe that when people invest in themselves or when they invest in whether they're students or their team members, that we all benefit from that. So thank you for the work that you're doing.
We're grateful. And thank you for the work you're doing. I'm so happy to be part of this conversation.
Awesome. Thanks again.
Yep.
Thanks for joining the conversation. More stories, updates, and voices from across the Cedar Valley coming your way. Stay tuned for the next episode.